and welcome to Review Wednesday. Today is a day where it's either an update or a review. Today I'm going to do a review on books. It's a book review! My favorite kind of reviews. I've bribed Leia with an orange and I'm hoping it'll last long enough for me to do this review. The first book is called Wired That Way by Mariah Dolenc. I don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce the author's name. A comprehensive personality plan. Now, it's always interesting to learn about yourself. We're most interested in ourselves. That's just the way we are. This gives you, I think, 4 different personalities that most people fall into. This is a book that I have read once, reviewed several times, and I'm due to read it again. It is so helpful. It helps you to understand your characteristics, what your personality is like, and then how to use that, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and how to use that and apply that in your marriage, in your parenting, in your work life, in your spiritual life. It's such a great book. The first time I read this book and I read the description of the kind of person I am, I almost started crying. Growing up, my sister was very much a funny, spunky, excited personality, and I feel like sometimes I was teased or made fun of because a lot of times I had a more serious outlook on life even as a small child, or I had different moods. I was not the fun and bouncy kind of personality. And I sometimes feel like that got me criticism within my family. And when I read this, it was like, there's not something wrong with me. That's, like, there are people like me. And it was very emotional for me to read that. So I really recommend this book. I enjoyed it so much. It gives you a test to take that helps you figure out what kind of personality you are. If you have a partner, it's great for you to figure out together what you are so you understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. I think it's really great. I highly recommend this. The next book I have for you, a success book, a personal development book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. This is an especially great book for business and entrepreneurs and people who are success-minded and leadership-minded. However, it's also great for people who are not those things, people who just live ordinary lives and have a job from somebody else and they work 9 to 5 and they go home to their families. This is also a great book for you because it helps you realize where is your life going and how something little that you're doing today may have a big effect on what you're doing later on in life that you're not so thrilled about. Or the little thing that you're doing today that feels totally useless and just like it's doing no good will actually have a really positive effect later in life. I highly recommend this book for the outlook it gives you on your life, for the aspect it brings into your life vision of what you want the complete look of your life to be like. Essentially what the compound effect is that little things over time compound into bigger, greater effects. Yes. Leia's also read this book. Did you like the book? For an example, let's say you watch an hour of TV every day. You and your spouse, you watch an hour of TV together. I know. And then slowly over time, you don't realize it, but you start watching more and more TV together. Until all of a sudden you realize that your children are gone, and now what you do is from the time you come home until you go to bed, you watch 6 hours of TV, and the person you're living with is almost a stranger. You guys have nothing in common anymore. You don't have a good relationship anymore. That's what the compound effect does. I'm doing this because it starts out small, but then it gets bigger. You know, it's like one of those curves. Choices, behavior, habits. That's basically what I'm talking about. Another example on a positive scale would be that every day for 5 minutes when your child comes home, you spend time asking them, looking them in the eyes and saying, how are you today? And this seems like 5 minutes. Who cares? 5 minutes, not a big deal. But those 5 minutes turn into 6, and then a year later you're doing 10 minutes, and then your kid starts to go to high school and they come to you and they say, somebody today offered me drugs. And they come to you with this because you've built this relationship from the beginning of just 5 minutes. But it's escalated into this very deep relationship that you have with your child till now they feel comfortable coming to you. This is just an example. I don't even think that's in the book. But it is a great book. It gives you perspective I highly recommend this book. I notice that most of the times on these book reviews, I'm not reviewing books I don't like. Probably I should go over books I read that I don't enjoy as much and why. But for today, it's just these 3 books. And the next and final book is a classic, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. This is a very good book. It's a very spiritual book. It's, I would say, heavy in Christianity, although if you're not Christian, I think that it's a valuable book for you to read anyways. I think that it really contributes to your life, in your spiritual life, in your faith life. If you are not a person of faith, you are still a spiritual person. That's like, you can't get out of that. There's something in you that's beyond just physical and psychological, and whatever that is, this book can help you with that. It gives you a lot of personal power. First published in 1953, this book has been a classic for many years. It still is. I like this book because I don't think it's just about positive thinking in today's terms and standards. I know I just made a video on inspirationalism and motivationalism and people talking about being so positive all the time and not really facing reality in a way. The other side of that is that there are good people and there are good things and leaders and thinkers and great minds who use positive thinking to create a better world. And I think that this book is in many ways a father to a lot of that leadership that we have today. I feel whenever you have some trend of sensationalism of any sort, you should go and look to the origin of that trend. Today there's a lot of people who didn't necessarily do anything incredible with their lives, but they just became an inspirational, motivational speaker. They're called information entrepreneurs. And when I made my video about inspirationalism is dead, Lucas said, the one thing I'm missing is that you didn't distinguish between these 2 kind of leaders, which I'm about to, and I agree with him. And that is that there are people who are information entrepreneurs. And basically all they do is they create inspirational things, or they create positive things, information. They write a book, they have a podcast, they have a YouTube. No, thank you. They're people who just give you information, but in a way they're a little bit fake. They're kind of taking advantage of people by the fact that they're selling this information that doesn't have much backing to it. In my mind, that's not really a true leader. Now, a true leader who is not trying to be an inspirationalist, if I can use that term. I'm just like using this term. I don't know if it exists. But somebody who's truly a leader, who is inspirational, who is inspiring, who is positive, who is motivating, but I don't think that's what they're trying to do, is someone like Bill Gates. Bill Gates created something of his life that was amazing, incredible, and it's still going on. And he's somebody who is very inspiring. But there's authenticity behind that. He did something in his life, and now by sharing his story, he's inspiring people. That's great. Then there's people who kind of went through something difficult, and now all their life is about inspiring and positive and like giving people their pep talks to just like pump them up. Okay, yeah, I can see how that is like sharing your story has a lot of power behind it, but it gets for me to be like just overkill. If you look at all that today, like the people who are the motivational speakers and stuff, go back where this all came from. This book is kind of the origin of a lot of their thinking. I think that rather than read a lot of today's positive books or positive thinking books or motivational books or inspirational books, I would rather read this book because I think that a lot of the truths that hold in this book hold true today. It says here that Norman Vincent Peale is the father of positive thinking, and he's probably one of the original personal development writers, authors. I think really the true father of all of this is Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read Napoleon Hill's work, I strongly suggest, because I feel like Napoleon Hill, Jim Rohn, and Norman Vincent Peale, I think any author today who writes on personal development, basically you can trace all their work back to those 3 authors. And I think that Norman Vincent Peale and Jim Rohn take a lot of their thinking from Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is just like amazing, amazing author. But I will save his books for the next book review. Thank you for watching this book review. I appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with me. I never take that for granted. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please like it. If you like me, please subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.